Are you ready to dive into all things Pinterest? One of the things that I hear all the time is, how do I grow my podcast? How can I grow my podcast outside of social media? What are the ways in which I can have a bigger reach, bigger audience without having to just do it through Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, or whatever other social media platform you're using? This series, this entire month, we are talking all about Pinterest. There is so much power to learning and understanding exactly how to leverage Pinterest for your podcast growth. Pinterest, in and of itself, is a search engine. It's similar to Google, and therefore, it has so many different searchable properties to it that allow your content to be seen in a different way and in a very long-term way. Traditional social media platforms allow you to post your content and get in front of your audience, but only for a very, very short amount of time. You have a small window in which you can actually make an impact with what it is you're putting out there. What I love about Pinterest is that it really allows you to create your content in a way that's intentional. It stays there and it lives there for such a long time. Oftentimes, pins that you're looking at today may have actually been pinned years ago. Isn't that kind of crazy when you really think about it? This is exactly why we're talking all about Pinterest in this month's series. And I truthfully could not think of a better person to join me for this series than Samantha Roller. Samantha Roller is my right hand in business. She helps me in my business. She creates content for my clients and I. She is the person that I lean on to help me bring Costantini Productions to life. I absolutely adore Sam. I am so grateful for her every single day, and she's an absolute genius when it comes to the Pinterest world. So in this very first episode, we're talking about why you should be marketing on Pinterest. We have an incredible, incredible lineup of episodes for you. So if you want early access to all of these episodes, you can. You can actually join me over on Patreon and get access to all of the episodes in advance and some bonus content and additional stuff over there, which is super nice. And all you have to do is just click on the link in the show notes, and you can probably do that after you're done listening to this episode, let's be honest. I want you to hear this amazing content. When you think about Pinterest, it really is a gem of a resource that allows creators to have longevity with their content. And it also allows their content to impact their ideal listener and ideal client in a very significant way. This episode is the first episode in our 4-part series with Sam. And we talk about the purpose of using Pinterest as a podcaster, how the platform really works, and why it's still very much relevant to use, especially today. We talk about how you can use it to get leads, generate leads for your podcast or for your business, and how it will help you get more downloads on your show. There are so many key takeaways in this episode. I was absolutely mind blown throughout the entire series, actually. I was so mind blown and so inspired to take real action to implement these different techniques. So, if you're looking for an out-of-the-box way to promote your podcast, I highly recommend you listen into today's conversation. Before we get into the conversation, let me tell you a little bit about Sam. Samantha Roller is a Pinterest marketing expert and online marketing VA. Since 2015, Sam has worked her way up from basic admin and social media management roles for brick and mortar businesses to working with multiple 6-figure business owners to help them grow and streamline their funnels. Samantha believes that anyone can utilize the power of Pinterest marketing, email funnels, and a simple opt-in to attract and convert ideal customers and clients, promote podcast episodes, and promote YouTube channels. Ultimately, the goal here is to build consistent stream of new audience members to nurture. I know you're going to love this conversation as much as I do. You're going to love Sam as much as I do. Cannot wait for you to dive in. So before we do, be sure to leave a rating and review of the show. Share this episode with someone you know will get a lot of benefit from listening to it. And why don't we go into the conversation? Welcome, Sam, to the As It Relates to Podcasting show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
We're going to have so much fun. And as I mentioned in my intro to this episode, you work on my team. We've been working together for quite a long time now. I pretty much call you my right hand because you are, and you are the go-to for all things Pinterest, which is why I had to have you in this series this month.
Yeah, I mean, it's been amazing working with you. It's been just honestly incredible. And I've learned so much too. And being able to work with you with Pinterest, along with other parts of your business, has been honestly just an amazing learning experience, and you're just obviously amazing to work with as a person. So
I love you. Thank you. Thank you. And I know everyone who's listening right now is going to just get so much out of this conversation. So much about what you're going to teach today is actually quite foreign to me. I don't know a whole lot about Pinterest, especially when it comes to the podcasting world and Pinterest and how they both work together. So I think I'd like to just start with, what's the purpose of using Pinterest as a podcaster specifically?
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we want to attract more listeners to our podcast, right? Whether you're getting started or you just want a new way to attract listeners, Pinterest is a really amazing way to do that. And this is especially true if you also have a business that goes alongside that podcast, which many people do. And so Pinterest is just really effective in gaining traffic.
Yeah, that's really interesting to me because I have no idea how it actually works. And, I know that Pinterest is its own search engine. And I know we're going
Mhm.
to talk about the algorithm in our next episode together. So I don't want to dive too much into the algorithm in this episode, but I know that we have to talk about it a little bit. So how exactly does Pinterest work? Like if, let's look at it through the lens of like if you're putting a pin up on your profile and also if you're just, searching something.
Yeah, so you do have the home feed, which when you go onto your personal profile, you will see what Pinterest suggests to you, which this is based on your recent searches and your top searches. So the things that you're looking at the most or you've looked at most recently on your home feed, Pinterest is serving that to you. They're like, okay, well, since you like this, I'm going to serve you this. Okay, do you like this? Are you going to engage with this? And then they'll consistently read what you're doing so that they can continue giving you content that is something you'll actually engage with. And on the search feed, it's kind of the same thing where it's based on if you type in a keyword, just like with Google, whatever is the most searched for by all users on Pinterest is going to be the top search word or the top search phrase. And when you click on a certain phrase or you type in all of your keywords and you hit enter, you'll then see all these pin images. And from top to bottom, the very top pin images are the most engaged with pins. So these are the most popular pins. They could be years old and they will still stay at the top of the feed because people are consistently engaging with them.
Interesting. So it doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
matter how long your content is there for or alive for, as long as you're using keywords, which we are going to dive in our next
Yeah.
episode. I know our listeners are like, just give us everything now. But honestly, it's just such a big topic and it's such a big part
Mm-hmm.
of optimizing your profile, which is why I don't really want to dive too much into it right now. But so when you're putting all of your keywords together and you're putting your pins together and your ideas and all of your content, how how does that work? Like is Pinterest still relevant to bring in leads and to bring in dollars? Because I feel like Pinterest was really, really big a few years ago. And then I feel like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like fizzled out. I feel like, I don't know what you think about this, but I feel like it was really big with bloggers and that kind of
Mm-hmm.
content. And now we have this huge shift into audio and video. And while blogs are still very relevant, when you shift into a whole different type of media, it's a big deal, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
how does Pinterest stay relevant for this type of content? And how does it bring
Yeah.
us money?
So Pinterest has brought in something called idea pins, which are highly engaging. The purpose of idea pins is kind of like stories or reels on
Mm,
Instagram, where the purpose is not necessarily to try to get people to your website where a static pin would, a regular pin that you put up on your profile would.
mhm,
An idea pin does last forever. It doesn't just go away, but you can't lead people anywhere. The purpose is to be engaging, to drive traffic to your profile, which is something that we'd never done before as content creators on Pinterest.
mm,
The whole point was, okay, I'm going to make a static pin with some words on it and I'm going to get people straight to my website. And that was the whole thing. Pinterest still very much values content creators using the platform. They know we want people to hop off of Pinterest and they support that completely. But to compete with other platforms, and in this day and age of quickly moving video content, they have introduced idea pins, which really, like I said, is the main point is engaging your audience, to build more trust with your audience, to get people to spend more time on your profile, to interact with you, to follow you, which again is an opportunity that we've never really had before on Pinterest as content creators. So while there is a learning curve involved, it can only lead to better things.
Okay, I really like this. And we are going to dive into all of the different types of pins that you can create and what you kind of should create as a creator, video, audio, whatever creator. And so I like this little look into exactly how these different pieces work. And so when it comes to, marketing your podcast on Pinterest, can you talk about some of the other ways that someone would use Pinterest as part of their marketing plan? Like, generating leads, maybe they're going into like an email funnel. How do they get more subscribers through it? That kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, so there are a couple different ways that podcasters can really use Pinterest. And one of the main ways is obviously you create a pin and you get someone to go directly to the platform that you can actually listen to the podcast on. And that can definitely be effective. And that's one piece of a small strategy. The other parts of it is, if you have a website, do you have a blog that you separately host your episodes on? Do you have the media player? Do you break down the episode with show notes or a whole blog post talking about this? This is both an SEO boost as well as an additional way to drive traffic. So what are all the places that we can get our potential listeners to engage with our content? You can even send them to your YouTube channel. You can send them to your Instagram profile. You can really send anyone anywhere that you want to send them, including to affiliate links. Let's say that you have affiliate or sponsors that you use on your podcast. You can actually turn around and create pins to send them directly to that affiliate, which is something that a lot of people don't know.
That is really interesting. So I guess you would just take
Mm-hmm.
whatever your affiliate link is and then you add that to your pin. And
Mm-hmm.
then like I guess my question here would be, what is the content that you're putting with that affiliate link? Because a lot of the times affiliate links are products, for other people. Like, I mean, they are products for other people. And
Mm-hmm.
so what would you pin? For example, we could take my brand as an example, with all of the things that I already do and create in the softwares and stuff that we use on a daily basis. Let's take like Canva or Headliner or something, because I have affiliate links
Mm-hmm.
to both of those. How would you take that and pin about it?
Let's say we could take the affiliate link. So obviously there's two ways to really use affiliate links in the grand scheme of things. That's directly in a blog or on a web page somewhere, right? Where you're
Okay.
talking more in detail about the product. But on Pinterest, you have the ability, if you disclose the fact that it is an affiliate link in the description, which is really easy to do, just put something like aff link or affiliate or something like that in the description, and you're golden for Pinterest eyes, just for transparency reasons. You can link directly to the affiliate link itself. So the way you would do that is create a pin. You can go into Canva, actually, talking about Canva because I love Canva. Create a pin image based on the templates that they already have. And let's say you'd say something like, type on the actual pin graphic itself some text that says, easily create a beautiful podcast. Well, what I was trying to think of, the cover art. Here it is.
That's it.
Yeah. So easily create beautiful cover art for your podcast. And you could actually send that directly to a Canva affiliate link, where they will then be prompted by Canva to create a pro account or something like that. And that's just one small way that you can use affiliate links, but it can be really effective if you are very specific in the words you're using on the pin graphic, doing that keyword research, which of course we're going to dive more into later. But if you know how to do those things and you can garner that attention, which it doesn't even have to be a beautiful pin. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You just go into Canva, type it in. If you use an image, make sure it makes sense with what, the pin image is about. And then make sure the description also is simple, straightforward, makes sense, has some keywords in there, so that you can actually rank with those keywords. And eventually what happens is, when you're consistent, whether you're creating separate affiliate links that link to affiliate products directly, to a blog post, to your podcast, that consistency builds up over time.
Okay. This is so interesting to me. I love this. I've never been huge into Pinterest. I go on to Pinterest to find recipes, and even that sometimes I'm like, "Oh my goodness, there's so many different options." But I love this idea because I feel like it's such an untapped market, it's such an untapped resource, especially for growing your podcast. And I get this question all the time, like, how do I grow my show aside from social media? And yes, while Pinterest is a social media platform, if you will, it isn't really, because it's its
Mhm.
whole search engine. It's its
Yeah.
own entity, really.
Yeah. And something I always want to mention to people and for them to realize is that because Pinterest is SEO based, it actually pulls really well over to Google. So just like writing your blog helps you rank on Google, Pinterest actually does too. It's keyword based, right? I mean,
Right.
it's the same premise around SEO. And that's why Pinterest is so effective for example, if you're looking up certain things on Google related to a specific type of podcast, oftentimes if you actually go into the images tab on Google, you can find a lot of pin images that are ranking from Pinterest onto Google Images. And the same thing happens on Google now more than it ever has. You do this research or you're looking up a specific person or a specific type of podcast or something like that, and their Pinterest profile will actually rank on that Google page, which is again something that is only growing. And kind of talking about tapping back into what you mentioned before, which was, are people still using Pinterest and is it still effective? It actually is. It's only growing. And Pinterest is catering more now to content creators than they ever have before.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing. And so when you think of the longevity of a pin, for example, you were talking earlier, and it could actually be years. And
Yeah.
so, what could someone expect, from their marketing if a podcaster is implementing this today? Like, what could they expect to happen once they bring all of your
Yeah.
tips over all of our episodes into play?
Yeah. It's always hard to say just because, just like any other social platform, I don't think that anyone should make promises about how someone will rank or
Yeah.
anything like that. But the point is, if you're consistent, you will immediately see growth pretty much right out of the gate. But within 3 to 6 months, you should be getting a consistent stream of traffic. And this is because you are pinning consistently. You're consistently doing that keyword research. You're like, okay, I want to do this. If you do this correctly, you optimize your profile, you do all those things right out of the gate. As long as you are consistently pinning and the keywords are in place, you have this massive room for growth
Hmm.
that is honestly unlike any other social, no other social platform can do for you what Pinterest can do for you.
That is so incredible. Okay, we are going to wrap up this episode. Before we do, I want to ask you, is there anything related to marketing and Pinterest, like why you should market your podcast on Pinterest, that we have not touched on that you wanted to touch on?
Um, Honestly, I just want to emphasize that doing your keyword research and tapping into that and just knowing your audience, knowing who you want to speak to, knowing who your podcast is for, and basing all of your marketing on Pinterest, all the pins you create, every decision you make it relationship based. Why
Hmm.
should they honestly engage with your podcast? Why is it important to them? And use that to inspire you to create your pins.
I love that. That is such a key piece here, is that relationship piece, because like any other social networking platform, social media platform, any other marketing strategy that you would ever put out there, it is all relationship based. And I think that sometimes we forget to put that person back into the social media, especially when there's all kinds of automations. You have your scheduling apps, you have your lead gen sequences, all of that kind of stuff. How do you bring that personalization back into it, and how do you bring those relationships back? So I think that is amazing. um, Before we close out, I just want to recap really quick. So we've touched here on how Pinterest works and why you need it for your marketing. In our next episode together, we are talking all about how Pinterest works as a search engine, and how keywords work, how to optimize your profile as well. So, if you want to listen to this episode before it gets released, you can join us over on Patreon. You can get full access. And if not, then thank you so much, Sam. It was so amazing having you on this episode.
This was great. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Okay, see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation today. I am so grateful that you've spent this time with us to learn about how to leverage Pinterest for your business, for your marketing, and for your podcast growth. If you would be so kind as to leave a rating and review of the show wherever you're listening, I would be most grateful. You can also watch the whole entire episode on YouTube so you can see us in real time. You can give me a follow or subscribe over there too. I wouldn't be mad at that. You can connect with Sam, grab all of her freebies and her downloads. The links are in the show notes. But let me tell you here, her website is samanthalyn.co. Her Instagram is at samanthaliN_co. Her Pinterest link is in the show notes, and you can also get your free Pinterest workbook in the show notes as well. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. Again, I cannot wait to see you on the next one.